I'm Anil Kumar, and here is my first video for my grade 4 student Fazul. He wants to understand the game of probability. So we'll play it with three things. We can play it with dice, with the spinner, and with the playing cards. So Fazul, from where should we start? Should we start with the dice or playing cards or the spinner? Okay, let's begin with the spinner. Let's see how to play the game of probability with the spinner. Now what you can do is that you can also design a spinner like this. What I did was I made a circle divided into few parts. Half of it is in color red, quarter is in green, and 1/8 is in blue, and 1/8 is in pink, right? So the whole circle has been given some color or the other. Now we'll talk about probability. See how interesting it is. First question is, what are the possible outcomes or result? That is to say that if I play this game of spinners, right, and where will it land? Well, it could land on red, green, blue, or pink. So you know what are the outcomes, right? So let's write down what are the outcomes for us. Outcomes in this experiment, you may call it a game, right? I'll call it an experiment. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 outcomes. We could get this spinner on red, on green, on blue, or pink, correct? So these are all the possible outcomes. So in this game, we may call this game as an event, and we can say, well, we'll play this game and the event is whosoever gets it on blue wins, right? So that could be a game, and the event will be getting the spinner on blue, right, to win. Now the question is, how likely it is that a particular result will occur? That is, how likely it is that you will win by getting it on blue. Is it equally likely, less likely, more likely? What do you think? Well, since blue is a small portion, it is less likely, right? So we'll say less likely to get blue, correct? How about getting red? I think it is very likely to get red, right? So it is most likely to get red. So we learn two terms: likelihood of an event, whether it is less likely or more likely. Now the question is, can you get yellow? Well, clearly the answer is impossible, right? So it is not possible. Is that okay? So it is not possible. So the event of getting yellow is impossible. So we could say impossible, correct? What is certain in it? Now my question to you is, what is certain? Certain means 100% is going to happen. So what is certain in this game of spinner? Can you tell me that? That's an interesting question. Well, it is certain that you'll get one of these 4 colors, right? So it is certain that you get one of these 4, right? So one of these 4 colors. Do you understand? So what I've done here is that in this game, I've introduced you to few terms which we are going to use again and again while playing our game of probability. So in a spinner like this, we have only 4 colors, so it is only possible to get one of these 4. All other colors are impossible. Most likely you can get red, and least likely are blue or pink. Well, you can also say getting blue or pink is equally likely since they are of the same size. Correct? So at times we may use equally likely term also. So what you can do at home is play this game 20 times, make a chart, we call it a T table, kind of like this. So make a T table like this, correct? So in this, you can write colors on one side, whichever colors you place, so we'll write colors, and number of times you get on that color. So if you make something like this, in that case you write green, red, blue or pink. And what you can do is you can spin the spinner. What I will do here is I like to do it like this. So if I get blue, I'll draw a line here. Oh, sorry, it should be on blue, not there, right? So that was wrong. Okay, and then I will do it again. So you have to do it randomly. So I get pink this time, so one line on pink, and then you continue like this 20 times, right? So green, put one on green. Likewise, do it 20 times, correct? And one on red. Likewise, you do it 20 times. And then see where do you get it most. I hope you enjoyed this game and you learned few terms about probability. And we also answered all the 3 questions. The first one was, what are the possible outcomes or results of your game? Well, the outcomes were clearly getting the spinner on red, green, blue or pink. How likely it is that a particular result will occur. Red is most likely, right? It is unlikely that you get yellow, and it is certain that you'll get one of these 4 colors. Last question here is, what is the probability of an event? So that is, for getting red, the probability is very high, we'll say, right? The probability of getting red is very high. So at present we'll say that. Is it okay? Soon I will introduce you to numbers. Let's move on and play the next game. Now we'll play the probability game with the help of a dice. You have to again answer the same questions. First, what are the possible outcomes or results of this game? How likely it is that a particular result will occur? And what is the probability of an event? So you're playing with this dice, right? So look at it carefully. It has 6 faces, and on each face there are some dots. These dots could be 1 dot, 2 dot, 3, 4, 5 or 6. So what are the possible outcomes of this game? So when you throw the dice, you could get one of these numbers. So you could get either 1, you could get 2, you could get 3, you could get 4, 5 or 6. So these are all the possible outcomes. Is that clear? So these are the possible outcomes. Let's make a table and we'll write down here possible outcomes. Outcomes are also treated as results. That is to say, if I am performing an experiment, this is my experiment, right? So the result is I got 5, right? I can play it many number of times and record the result. For example, let's begin now. If I throw it and if I get 3, so in 3 I'll draw one line. So I got 3 ones. Next time again 3. Okay, so another line for 3 and then again 3. So third time we got 3 again. So at times you may get such a result, right? This time we got 5. So I'll put a line for 5. And now it is again 5. Another line. And this time let's see what we get. It is 6. So here it is for 6. 4. So we got 1 for 4. And how about this time? 6. And then we got 3. So most likely with this dice we get 3. This time we got 1. You have to play many times. So when you get 4, just put one more with 4. And 3 again. Fifth time when you get 3, well, we'll cross it like that. It becomes easier to count. Does it make sense to you? And we got 5. So let's close this experiment now. So we performed an experiment and the results are shown here. Correct? So these are results of our experiment. In which we have written all the outcomes which came. And now from these results, we are going to find the probability of an event. Okay? So, what kind of events can be defined? Well, event could be, we write it like this, probability P and event within brackets. Probability of getting the number 5. Number 5. So, what we do here is, we count the total number of times. Total number of times is 1 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So total was 13 for us. Number of times we got 5 is just 3, right? So it is 3 out of 13. So in terms of probability, we say that this fraction 3 over 13 gives us the probability of number 5 in our experiment. You get an idea, right? At times what you can also do is after playing the game, you can add them up and write numbers, since it becomes easier to work with numbers. So we got 1 times 1, 0 times 2, 5 times 3, 2 times 4, 3 times 5, and 2 times 6. If I add them, 5 and 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is the total number of times I played this game, right? You played at least 25 number of times. Is that okay? Well, tell me the probability for getting the number 3. So number could be written by that sign also. We got 5 times 3 out of 13. So that becomes the probability of getting the number 3. Now here is a trick question for you. We have to give probability of getting even numbers. Even numbers. You understand what are even numbers? Even numbers are numbers like 2, 4 and 6 in this particular case. So it is 2 or 4 or 6. Those are the even numbers. So to write this probability, what are you going to do? Well, you will have to add the numbers for 2, 4 and 6. So in this particular case, for 2 it is 0, for 4 it is 2, and for 6 it is 2. So our result is 0 plus 2 plus 2 out of 13, right? So we got 4 out of 13 as even numbers. Do you get an idea, right? Now if you know that out of 13 you got 4 even numbers, then can you tell me what is the probability of getting odd numbers? In this experiment which I played, right? Every time when you play a game, you will get different results. So these are experimental probabilities, right? So what we are doing here is also known as experimental probability. Does it make sense to you? Now still you have to answer this question. Probability of getting the odd numbers in this game which I played. Experimental probability. Well, one way could be that you could add all the odd numbers, correct? The other way could be you could add these, right? You could add all these odd numbers. So that is 1 plus 5 plus 3 and get your result. The other way is that out of 13, 4 are even, the rest are odd. Do you get it? So 13 take away 4. So we should write here 13 take away 4, right? So 13 take away 4 out of 13, which is 9. So you should get 9 out of 13 as your result. You can add and check. 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 3 is the number 9. You get an idea, right? So that is how you get probability of events. The last question here is, what is the probability of getting the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6? Well, it is, when you add them up, you get 13 out of 13. We say probability is 1, or sometimes in percent we say 100%. Do you see that? So it is certain to get either one of these numbers in this experiment, and we say that the probability is 100% to get one of these numbers. And in our experiment we found that the probability of getting 3 was highest, right? So that is how we play the game of probability. So I think you have understood few terms. We'll move on and play the next game, and this time with playing cards. Now we are going to play the game of probability with playing cards. Well, you should know the playing cards also to play this game. Here we have these kinds of cards, King, Queen and Jack. They are called the face cards. And then we have different suits. This is called clubs, hearts, spades and diamonds. We have 4 suits. That is the ace. And all other number cards are from 2 to 10. So that is the type of thing we have in cards, right? So we are going to play with these cards. Now let me give you some idea about playing cards. We normally have 52 cards, right? Out of these 52, 26 are red cards and 26 are black cards. Now the red cards are of 2 types. The red cards are of 2 types. We call them hearts or diamonds. They are 13 each. Similarly, for the black cards, we have 2 types, spades and clubs. They're also 13 each. As I was saying, we have face cards. Face cards are King, Queen and Jack. There are in all 4 types, 3. So we have 12 face cards. Correct? And then we have numbers from 2 to 10. And we have a card which is called ace, which is normally written with letter A, correct? And there are 4 aces, each of one kind. You get an idea, correct? Now with this knowledge, can you tell me what are the possible outcomes or results in your game? So in this game, you can have many results, right? You can have many results. Can you list, let's say 3 results? Well, one of them is, let us say, if I have all these cards kept like this, and if I try to pick one, what is the probability that it is red? Well, I got black, but then it could have been red, right? In this case, as you know, that there are equal number of red and black cards. So the probability of getting red card or a black card is 50-50, right? So we say equally likely. So probability of getting a red card or a black card is equally likely, right? So equally likely, you could say probability of getting red or black card, right? Why? Since both are 26 and 26, half of 52. Perfect. Similarly, it is equally likely to get one of these cards, either hearts, spades, diamonds, or clubs. Correct? It is more likely to get what? Number card, right? Since we have a lot of number cards, 2 to 10 numbers, right? So we have 12 face cards, 4 aces. So out of 52, if you take away 16, the rest are the cards with numbers. You get an idea. So in the game of cards, we could have many types of outcomes. Now the question is, how likely it is that a particular result will occur, which we also saw here. If your result is to get black card, then the likelihood is 50-50, or it is equally likely, right? Now if I say how likely it is to get an ace, to get an ace is unlikely or very difficult, right? Since there are only 4 aces in 52 cards, correct? So it is less likely to get ace when I draw. But who knows, if I draw, I might get ace. So it's always a matter of chance. Do you see that? Probability is always a matter of chance. It may not be likely to happen, but it may happen. That's the beauty of this game. So probability, we are predicting the results. Results may be different. You get an idea, right? So I just randomly picked up a card and it was ace, which is not a likely event, but still it can happen. So that is very important to understand. So let's play the last game, spinners with numbers. And I hope you are enjoying this journey of playing probability game and understanding most of the terms. Now I hope you have learned a lot about probability game. This time we'll take this as a test. Okay, so treat it as a test. What you need to do is you have to make a spinner like this and answer all these questions. Question number 1. What are the possible outcomes or results? That is your spinner. Okay. Question number 2. How likely it is that a particular result will occur? You have to define your result and then write the answer. Last question here is, what is the probability of an event? So what I'll do here is, I'll write the event for you. And then based on that event, we'll go backwards and answer all the questions, right? So I'm defining my event, and event is when we do an experiment, then we define what are we looking for. So event is to get an even number. Is it okay? So event is to get an even number. Is it okay? That is the event for you. Now, even numbers are which ones? You know them. They are 2 and 4 in this particular spinner. Perfect. So what you need to do is, first, you need to answer all these questions, starting with the first one. What are the possible outcomes? So first is possible outcomes, correct? Second question for you is how likely that a particular result will occur. So how likely, so we'll write probability of getting even number. Is that okay? So in short, we can write like this. How likely it is that a particular event will occur. Our event is even number. Probability of getting even number. Is that okay? So I've combined second and third. Now the last question is, what is the probability of an event? So our event is even number. We are seeing probability of even number is what? So I've combined these two. Correct? For question number 2, I'll give you more things to think about. So for that, you have to answer this question. Once you do that, once you perform that experiment and get your result, after that, you have to write how likely it is to get, how likely it is to get number 3, right? So in this experiment, how likely it is to get 3, right? And then you should know from your experiment, did you get similar result? As we can see, 3 occupies most of the space, correct? So 3 is most likely, correct? But when you perform the experiment, that is, when you play it 25 times, let us say, then do you really get 3 most number of times, or it is some other number? Perfect. So that is what will tell you how likely it is that a particular result will occur. I hope it makes sense. Perform this experiment and then let me know if you understand these concepts about probability. Then I'll make second video for you. Hope that helps. All the best and enjoy. And I hope with you, many other students will also enjoy playing the game of probability and learning. Thank you and all the best.